What's going on, guys? It's Rudy the Realtor here. And man, I'm really excited. I'm starting my podcast journey, and what I plan on doing is interviewing people that are heavy hitters of Atlanta. What does that mean? People that are business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are on the fucking grind to making a name for themselves. I want to sit down, pick at their brain, figure out what they're doing and what they did to get to where they're at. And if you guys support the idea, if you guys support me, man, just make sure to show some love. I think we can all take away something beneficial from this. All right, guys. So look, this is my first ever podcast video. And really the whole point of this video is to go over like common real estate questions that I get. I see a lot of other agents doing similar videos, and I'll be completely honest with you. They're complete shit. They're boring. They don't get to the point. They're using big words that the common person doesn't understand. So luckily, we're doing this podcast video. We're making it legit. I got my boy Jose, who's a branch manager for a mortgage company, so that he can professionally answer these questions that I generally get. And I'll be straight up, I'll be honest with you guys. Most of my clientele comes from social media and word of mouth. I don't pay for leads. I don't door knock. I don't cold call. So I think this is the best person to ask these questions to. So I'll start off. The most common question that I get, Jose, is what do I need to qualify for a mortgage? I know it can vary depending on everybody's situation, but generally speaking, what do I need?
Thank you for asking that question, bro. And first things first, thank you for having me on your very first podcast ever.
Let's get it on.
Let's get excited. Good vibes. This thing's about to take off. Woo! So okay, going back to your question. A lot of people think it's super difficult to qualify for a home loan. It really is. Okay, our people in La Raza, a lot of our people, we just don't know. We just don't know. It's just because we weren't raised with it, or we just don't know the education on it. It's not our fault. They don't teach how to become a homeowner in school. Let's call it for what it is. Yeah. Okay, that's why you have people like myself and you here and our partners in the business that we work with to teach our people. For the most part, we're a team. Well, we are a team. He's the guy that shows you the home. I'm the guy that finances it. However, the financing just doesn't come on a silver platter. Anyone could grab it if they want. It doesn't work that way. You have to qualify. Okay, so the biggest thing is income. Okay, so whether you're W-2 or 1099, we have several ways to look at your income. If you're 1099, we need at least 2 years taxes for the most part. Okay, or I don't want to say if you're 1099. I want to say if you're self-employed, we need at least 2 years of taxes. Okay, if you're W-2, we just need last 2 years of W-2s and last 30 days of pay stubs, and we'll qualify you that way. Second is credit. Okay, we have a ton of different programs. We offer a ton of different options, but it all depends on your case profile. I like to say that every mortgage applicant is like a blueprint. You're never going to find one identical. It's different. No, it's different. Even if your twin brothers applying for a mortgage, literally the same time as you, it's going to be different. Okay. And third is assets. We have different types of loan products that little as 3% down, 5% down, 0 down. I mean, it just all depends. It just goes back to, let me look at your credit and your income. And that's how I'll let you know which products we could apply. We could offer.
So let's trace it back a little bit. What about credit score? What's the minimum credit score that I need to qualify for a mortgage?
So, and every lender's different, but I could say my team and I, we could go down to a 500.
Wow.
That's huge. That's with FHA financing. So anything under a 580 and down to 100, or the 100 is our floor, is 10% down. It cannot be a gift. You must have your own funds. Okay.
Right. So I just heard you use the term FHA. What does FHA mean? What are you talking about?
FHA stands for the Federal Housing Authority / HUD, which is the Housing Urban Development. That's more of a government funded program. It's a good program, but it's more for those people that have had credit challenges in the past. I mean, we're giving you a loan with a potentially a 500 credit score.
All right, so let's say I went to my lender, right? And I give him all the paperwork, and he's telling me that I can qualify for an FHA or conventional. Which one is a better option?
So it just depends on long-term goals and just the type of purchase, but for sure, conventional finance is the way to go. Okay. However, not everyone qualifies for conventional financing. And I'm not saying this to kick FHA. FHA is a great product because conventional, your bottom line is 620. Doesn't matter how much down payment you're putting or not. It's 620 is the bottom for conventional financing. Conventional financing, though, it's cheaper overall. And with time, if let's say, for example, you only put 5% down, and with time, when you pay off the first 20% of the loan, then the mortgage insurance will expire, will cancel, which will lower your payment by a few $100 without you doing anything.
All right, cool. All right, so what if, another common question that I get, what if I'm a DACA recipient? What does that mean? What do I qualify for? What are the differences?
Well, first things first, love for all my dreamers, for sure. And I could say that right now we are in the moment where we're able to extend, offer, present all of our mortgage products for DACA recipients. And that is huge because it wasn't always like that. I like to want to give like the kind of history with DACA. Like, I don't know why the mortgage industry / the government, however you want to look at it, will pick on DACAs. So there was a while where no lenders were doing DACAs. There was a time when it was only FHA, and they had an 800 credit score, perfect credit for a conventional loan, but they were forced to go FHA because of their permit. I could say it's borderline kind of, like discriminating in my opinion, and it's just one of those where now we could extend all of the same offers, programs that we could to a resident or a citizen.
Wow. Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So let me throw a curveball at you, right? Let's take a shot real quick before.
Let's take a shot, yeah.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Right, Brazil.
Yep. All right.
That's good, right?
It's really good. So look, let's say that it's not so pretty on paper. I'm not DACA. I don't have a social. I have a tax ID. What can I do then if I don't have the money to buy a property cash? What can I do about it?
You could finance with us.
I can finance. Okay.
That's the cool thing because not every lender offers tax ID, and it's good to do your research. And for example, for some reason, I don't know if someone's advertising, I don't know, but I get a ton of tax IDs clients that they apply for Bank of America for some reason. Bank of America. And it's shocking how the loan officers don't even know they are a tax ID, because there'll be times when they tell me we spent 2 months with the bank, 3 months with the bank, or I was supposed to close next week and they just told me they can't do it. And after that, they then stopped returning my call. They went ghost. That's messed up because a tax ID number starts with a number 9. Okay. Also security with anything else, anything from 1 to 8, except number 9. Number 9 off the bat, that's a tax ID number. And it's good for your lenders to know that because, we're able to lend with tax ID. We do a lot of that. Okay. The only thing is it's a higher down payment and your rate is slightly higher as well. But we could do that all day long. We just need 1 year of income to be verified. And as long as you have the funds, it's good to go, to be honest.
Wow. All right. So another question that I get, I have a lot of people that work with other agents, different lenders, and they'll be like, hey, Rudy, I have a tax ID, and this lender and this real estate agent that I was working with told me that I didn't qualify. So it's like, where's the disconnect? How is it that you can qualify me, but other lenders can't? What's up with that?
I would say just off the bat, because we're more badass. No, I would say it's just, every lender is different. I would say the majority of lenders don't offer I-10 products or tax IDs, however you want to call it. And if they do, they don't really close on them. For the most part, tax ID is 3.5. Tax ID is 20% down. There's a lender down the street that's offering tax ID with 3.5% down. I have a lot of my partners have been asking me about that. We do not offer that program nor plan to offer it because the fine print with that program is pretty much the seller has to stay on title for the first 3 years. So you're not really buying that home independently when you close. You're pretty much just signing a lease agreement and you have 3 years to make the home truly your home. So I'm not a fan of that, to be honest. You're pretty much paying 3.5% down to do a lease agreement, and then if within 3 years, if you can't qualify, then they take all your money and they kick you out.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's a lot of like divvy programs, ribbon programs that offer programs for people with tax ID, but they're essentially renting to own. They're not necessarily getting a mortgage and purchasing this house.
Exactly.
All right. So another big thing, Jose, that I get is people telling me, I had this example. I was showing this client multiple properties, but yet he has people in his ear telling him that it's not a good time to buy because they think we're going to go into a recession like we did back in 2007, 2008. What are your opinions on that?
No, it goes back to it's always a great time to buy. If you look at the economic data, like, I'm trying to say this in the simplest words because I know we have a lot of different viewers, but guys, housing isn't the problem. The housing market is healthy right now. The only thing is, we have an inventory crisis, but that's going to get better with time. It has shown. The greater problem is just the inflation that's going on with the world. I don't just want to say with U.S. It's going on with China, with Europe. It's going on with everybody. It's the inflation. Eventually, that's going to lead to a recession. However, when a recession happens, that's opportunity. Kind of how they say, with the buy low, sell high, buy low, whatever you want to call it. But housing is good overall. The foreclosure rate is less than 1%. And I read that earlier this morning about that stat. That's amazing. So if it's less than 1%, what does that tell you about the housing market? We're in good shape right now. It's always going to be in good shape. It just, the rates change, the median prices changes. It is what it is. It's a cyclical industry.
Okay. So what about for the people that bought like a house, like let's say a year and a half ago, and they got like a 3% interest rate, and they're like, well, why would I buy a house now? Like rates are up to like a 6, 7, 8 in some cases. What do you say to people then?
So it all depends on how they look at the investment and what they plan to do with it. Yeah, you got your interest rate. Okay. Yeah. The interest rate is high. It's high. Okay. It's high. But what are you basing that on? I would say if you plan to rent the home, whether it's your current home or if you plan to buy a second home to invest or rent out, measure the gains and the cash flow gains on that versus what you're paying on interest. You're still going to be better overall if you purchase the home. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I look at it, at least. Yeah, the rate's higher, but you're still getting a better cash flow than you were.
All right. So what if I buy a house now, right? And I get like a crazy interest rate, like it's at a 7%. But in 6 months, 8 months from now, interest rates drop back down to a 3%. What can I do then? Am I just simply stuck with this high interest rate?
No. And I'm happy that you brought that up. So all of our programs, Tax ID and Social, they do not have a prepayment penalty. Okay? Which means, for example, as little as 6 months, if the rate's sliced in half and you're like, wow, you could always give me a call and I can give you a refinance quote. You could always refinance. To refinance, you either need to have a purpose. Yeah, it's pretty much a purpose. Why you want to do it? Do you want to take money out, which a lot of people are doing right now, and they're not really caring about the rates? Or do you want to change the term? Do you want to go from a 30 to a 15? Do you want to lower that rate? All that good stuff. I can help you with all that stuff. It's not if you buy that house and you have that loan, you're set with that loan for life. It's not like that.
Okay. Another question. So I have a client that purchased like 5 acres out in Rome.
Okay.
And he's not too sure what he wants to do with the land.
Okay.
Now he bought the property cash, right? There's not a house on it.
Okay.
If he wants to build a house, can he secure financing for it? And if so, how does that work?
Oh, boy, I love you, my bro. Thank you for bringing that up, dude. We literally just opened up a program literally like, a month and a half ago. Okay. It's called our one-time close construction to perm loan. Okay, construction to permanent. It means construction to a permanent structure. That's what it means kind of in fancy words. However, kind of what you said. If you have it in that scenario, someone that owns the land and they want a custom built on that property, then we're able to offer the financing on it. We qualify it the traditional way. Have to look at the credit, have to look at your income and make sure you have enough for the down payment. The rule of thumb, though, is make sure you have a builder that's willing to do the job. We can't talk about, we give you the money, you build it yourself. It doesn't work that way. I mean, unless you have the right credentials, because the company that we're with, they're going to give you a questionnaire. If that builder hasn't worked with us before, if they worked with us in the past already and they're in our system, cool. Go ahead and build on. But if they haven't, they have to fill out it's like a 20-page questionnaire where they pretty much have to give us their credentials, their experience, all that stuff, everything that's been going on. Once they do that, they provide the blueprints and all that, the plat and all that good stuff. And yeah, we could lend on it.
Okay. Another question. Let's say I don't own the land and I want to do like a new construction house. How does financing work on that end? Will you guys finance for the land as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you looking at the land and it's for sale and you already have what you want to do kind of more or less, and you want to purchase land as well, yes, we'll just add that into the overall price and we'll structure the loan with it, and we could one-time close it with all well.
So one-time closing. Wow. Okay. So all right, we just covered new construction loans. Jose, what do you say we take another shot before
Let's do it. Take another shot. Let's bring on. That's how we roll, man. We run Atlanta. What's up? That's some good. That's some good tequila, right?
Yeah. We'll take another shot.
Let's take another shot.
Cheers.
Cheers,
my guy.
Cheers. Oh, Lord.
All right. So, Jose, back to interest rates. Interest rates are pretty high compared to what they were back like in a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
What can people do right now to combat high interest rates when purchasing a house?
Okay, combat. Okay, I like this. I consider this more of a curveball, and I love it. I would say we could apply, or we could try to do a temporary buy down.
Okay.
Okay. A temporary buy down isn't nothing new. It's been around. It's been in the rule book for the longest time. However, it's now starting to resurface again in popularity because the rates are high, or what people are used to. For the last 10 years, the rates have averaged to been at a little over 5%. Right now, they're at 6.5, going on 7, depending on the type of purchase. Right. So that's the common objection. Would you say with people that don't want to buy right now? Hey, the rate's too high. Hey, rates, right? For the most part, we could do what's called a temporary buy down. Okay. We could do what's called a 3-2-1 buy down. And let me explain this because Rudy's amazing in getting, not guaranteed, not saying he's going to do it on every deal. I'm just saying every deal, every deal is different, but you do an amazing job in getting the seller credit from the seller. So amazing job on that.
Appreciate you.
With that credit, we could do what's called a 3-2-1 buy down. If the credit is enough for us to cover it, then pretty much the seller will pay for your rate to be discounted by a huge percent. So for example, a 3-2-1, it means for the first year, if let's say you close at a 6.75, basic math, y'all, 6.75. Let's say you close at a 6.75 note rate, and we do a 3-2-1 buy down, the first year your rate will be reduced by 3%, which means what's 6.75 minus 3? 3.75. Exactly. That means the first year your loan will be your payment will be based on a 3.75.
Wow.
And that's no extra cost to the buyer. That's seller paid 3-2-1. The second year, rate's gonna go up by 1%. It will only be discounted by 2%. So what's 6.75 minus 2? 4.75. Okay, and so on and so forth. I hope y'all following me. The third year, it's only going to be discounted by 1%. What's 6.75 minus 1? 5.75. And after year 3, it will adjust and it will default to the 6.75 going forward. And we could do that, but the seller paying for it. Now, the 3-2-1 buy down, that's only the seller must pay for it. So if the seller doesn't pay for it, that we can't offer that. Okay. Now we could do a 2-1 buy down, which the seller could pay for it or the buyer could pay for it. Okay. We could do a 1-0 buy down where the buyer could pay for it. So if you want to just pay that extra cash up front and you want your rate to be discounted the first year or the first 2 years, we could offer that.
Okay. And another thing I don't think we've touched on. So let's say I buy a house with like a 6% interest rate, and in 6 months rates drop. What can I do? And I'm really like, I'll just be straight up with you. I'm really talking about refinancing. How does that work?
So if somebody wants to refinance as little as 6 months, we could definitely help out. It just all depends on the purpose. To do a refinance, you have to have a purpose. Okay. You either got to take out cash, which a lot of people are doing right now, or let's just say if you want to lower the rate, let's say if you're at a 7% and you see rates at 4%, you want to do that. Or let's just say your very first home, you weren't making as much money as you are now, and you have Theo or Thea or mom and dad that co-sign, but then y'all agreed that 3 years later, you got to refinance to take them out of the loan. We could do that as well. We have different options to refinance.
Like, I'm glad you brought that up. Because another question that I get is, let's say I already have a house with a mortgage, okay? And I'm making more money now. A couple of years has passed by, and I'm straight to a bigger house. Another shot?
And let's do it. Wednesday, it's Friday, right? Isn't it Friday? We had to do the cuerpos on the Friday. All right. Yeah. We go to the Bicycle Club. Imagine that. Yeah. Man, we almost killed the bottle too. That's how we roll. Don't worry, I got more downstairs. All right, so somebody wants to buy. He said they already have a mortgage.
Yeah. So back to my question. I already have a house with a mortgage.
Okay.
But a couple years have passed by. I'm making more money now. My family, it's no longer a family of 3. It's a family of 5. I want to upgrade to a bigger house.
Okay.
Do I need to put 20% down on a second home? Because I don't plan on paying off my first house. So how does that work?
Bro, you are the GOAT with these questions. I'll tell you that. So, okay. So great scenario. And no, not at all. You do not have to put 20% if you choose to buy another property, okay? You said the key words right there. You said, hey, my family has grown. We have outgrown our original space. We want to upgrade. We want to upsize. We want a bigger home. We want to expand, right? Whatever. We could do it that your current home is your departing residence, and you get a bigger home, and your down payment is still as little as 3% or 5% down.
Wow.
Yep.
So I don't have to put 20% down on my second
You do
house.
not have to put 20% down. Here's a rule of thumb, familia. The rule of thumb is making sure that the next home is bigger than your current. Now, people do it the other way and say, hey, I want to buy this house half the size. Most likely the bank's going to consider that an investment property purchase unless you could heavily document that you're able to justify why you're downgrading. Then in some cases, they will honor it being your primary. But a lot of cases, if your home isn't bigger than the one that you currently have, then it won't be used as a primary. That's the rule of thumb.
So what does that mean? I'll have to put how much of a down payment?
20% down if it's considered an investment property. Well, 15 to 20% down.
Okay, depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A year and a half ago, Jose, and I'm sure you know this, it was very competitive. Interest rates were low. There weren't many houses to pick from, which means inventory was also low. And I had some situations where we would pull up to a house and there were like 30 other people there. We were competing with 30 other offers in some situations. And it really came down to who was willing to pay more over the appraised value. And this is money on top of your down payment and closing costs. This shift that we're seeing in the market is completely different, right? Interest rates are higher. We're starting to see more inventory. And back to my question, is it a good time to buy? Yes, we can negotiate money towards buying down the rate, but let's say I'm someone that doesn't have a lot of capital, right? And I want to buy a house. We can also negotiate for the sellers to pay some money towards closing costs, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is it a good time to buy? It's a great time to buy. Okay, it's a great time to buy. Buy. B-U-Y. We're going into a buyer's market. We're in a buyer's market. We're transitioning to a buyer's market. It isn't a better time to do it than now. Y'all got to act. This guy right here is a savage. All the contracts he sent us, for the most part, there's a heavy seller credit on the first page, which means he does an amazing job in negotiating on the buyer's behalf. Okay, don't get me wrong. He takes care of his sellers too now. I've seen his listings too, and he does his thing and all that. So good job, bro. But I'm talking about it's going back to a seller's market where we're starting to see more of these credits that the seller has to pay for the buyer to buy the house. And on the lending side, we're able to offer a lot more programs that way. Free buy downs for y'all, free discount points for y'all, all that good stuff. All because the seller's choosing to help out with closing costs. That's huge.
And yeah, I'm glad he touched on that because I have my own team. And I've had situations where some of my agents get their buyers $15,000 to $10,000 in closing costs. A year and a half ago, that was unheard of. So if you need some money towards purchasing a house, I think honestly it's a great time to buy. Yes, interest rates are pretty high, but if they drop down, you can always refinance, or if you can negotiate with the sellers to buy down your rate, you'll get a better interest rate, which means your monthly payment will also be lower.
Absolutely. Amazing job, by the way, when you get the sellers to give seller credit.
Jose, another thing. A lot of people say interest rates are high and sometimes it's better renting than owning. What's your opinion on that?
I like to be in control, and I prefer to own than rent. People talking about interest rates, they're high. Bruh, if you're renting, your interest rate's 100%.
I agree with that. Like,
You know?
just to share some backstory with me, I purchased my first house when I was 21. I purchased it out in Villa Rica. I got a US.
Villa Rica. Yeah.
And you can probably touch on that a little bit more about USD loans, but I got a really good deal on it. I didn't have to put anything down. I got the seller to pay towards closing costs, and I bought it for a really good price. Now, 5 years later, I ended up selling it, and I nearly sold it for like double the price. Now, what does that mean? I didn't pay off the mortgage, but when I was at closing, they cut a check off to the first lien holder, right, which was that bank, the lender that offered me the money to purchase a house, and then I got a check for the difference. So I personally could never agree with renting is better than owning because honestly, especially with this market that we're in, Atlanta, it's growing. People are moving in. traffic is getting worse, I think it's a good investment in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I can never agree with renting is better than owning.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page on that. It's true. I'm glad you talked about that because wasn't there an article that came out this year that said Atlanta's the #1 city of growth for the whole country?
Yeah, they're saying it's like the second Hollywood, man.
Yeah, right. You got The Walking Dead, you got all these, you got delivery, you even got gun companies moving to have their factories here in Georgia. You have a lot of things going down that, guys, we are growing in the South. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm talking about like we're growing.
See, that's crazy. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm from LA.
I'm from
I was born in LA.
Oh yeah, I'm from SoCal. What's up? I said
So my
3. What's up, bro?
so hear me out. My parents moved over here because of property prices. They're like, we want to buy a house.
So you know,
We can actually afford a house out here in fucking Atlanta. Because back in LA, it's just unreasonable.
Oh yeah,
right?
crazy.
But I honestly think Atlanta's getting to that point.
Yeah,
I think if you want to buy a house in Atlanta, right now is the time to buy. Because as soon as you have more people moving in, it's going to make it unaffordable for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. You got to get it before they say there's no more. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's how it is. It's kind of like when okay, let's talk about when they say Black Friday. When they say, hey, Black Friday, we're gonna have all these sales, and they give you like that killer sale, but the fine print says only 2 left, 3 left. Kind of how it is with like prime real estate, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta jump on it before, 5 years later, oh man, I've been living here my whole life, but I'm the last on line. Don't go out like that, y'all. You know what I mean? That's just my 2 cents.
All right, so look, let's take another shot. What's going on, Jose? Let's kill this bottle.
Let's do this, man. We killed the bottle like Devo. Hey, this tequila is good, man. You know, buy it back from the motherland, Mexico. I know it's good stuff, man. You know how it goes.
All right. So a lot of our people, a lot of our raza, Jose, are either self-employed or business owners, right? And what does that mean? When it comes to filing taxes, their gross income is really good, right? But after all expenses, their net income isn't so great. So when these people apply for a mortgage, right, the lenders are looking at their net income, and it's not so great. Luckily, right, we're starting the new year. What do you recommend for people like that?
So I would say at this time for lenders, at least the lenders that know what they're doing, and you know we're here nonstop. We play CPA around this time of the year.
Okay,
I got no problem doing it. The thing is, right now we're at an advantage when the new year starts and you're self-employed and you know that you want to qualify for your home the traditional route with your tax returns. I'll be more than happy to give free estimates and free scenarios. That if you're like, hey, I was turned down last year, or maybe last year I already knew that my taxes aren't as par, or I didn't qualify for the amount of home that I want to qualify, then I could run a quote for you with your last year's taxes, and I'll let you know how to report. However, it's a team effort when we do all that because we got to make sure that your tax preparer, your CPA, whoever is helping you with your taxes, or if you self-prepare taxes, we got to know that you know how to file the taxes the right way so you qualify. Which a lot of times we have a lot of partnerships with different CPAs and different tax preparers that if you say, hey, we need the taxes this way so they can qualify for this much property, they'll send it our way and we can review it. And if it makes sense, go ahead and buy it.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is before filing tax for 2022, if you're considering buying the house this year, it's best to talk to a lender for him to review your taxes to let you know how much it is that you need to report.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that is exactly what I'm saying. Just because if you're trying to qualify the traditional way and your taxes don't make sense, you have to wait another year.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't think we spoke on self-entrepreneurs or business owners, right? Let's say I don't have the best tax returns, but I have money in the bank.
Mm-hmm. All right. We have a different non-traditional programs that we could qualify you with. We could qualify you with 12 months bank statements, 24 months bank statements, even 6 months bank statements, and we have a profit and loss loan, which means what's a profit and loss? Okay, so that's kind of like a sheet that shows if you're self-employed, if you're making money or not. If you do not want us to include your tax returns, or you know you don't qualify with your tax returns, we could provide to your CPA that document that needs to be filled out. They can fill it out. And that's how we qualify you. So there's different programs if you don't want to use your tax returns.
Right. So basically what Jose just said I'm an entrepreneur, business owner. I have decent credit, at least a 620 credit score, correct?
Correct. Yep.
But I don't have tax returns showing sufficient income. As long as I have the money to put 20% down, I qualify for it.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
So another thing, Jose, I've been banking with, this is just an example. I've been banking with fucking Wells Fargo for the past 10 years.
Okay.
Why shouldn't I get a mortgage loan with Wells Fargo than with a mortgage company like the one where you're at?
Like you're talking about a direct bank versus no, we're a direct bank too. You're talking about like a state depository versus like a direct lender.
Yeah.
Like us, right? Yeah. No, great question. First things first, Wells Fargo, it's funny you use that. They closed down the correspondent lending, and that happened like 2 weeks ago. That's insane. Okay, that just means they're pretty much gonna stop doing mortgages. Okay, but it happens. It is what it is. The market, we're in a tough place. Wells Fargo, Chase, Ameris, Truist, they're all good companies if you're trying to keep your money stored. If you're trying to get a home loan, in my opinion, is you got to get with a direct lender, okay, like us. Let me tell you why. Because the biggest thing is customer service and experience. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
We take care of our people. We take care of our client. They're going to come back and they're going to say, hey, we want more. That just falls for anything done with right business. Okay. With us, we're local. Whoever we help out, for the most part, they're buying around us where we live. You know, we're going to provide that right customer service, that good, feeling good experience. In my opinion, I know, I'm not the only one that believes this. If you go with the depositories, you're going to be a number. They're going to be a number. You ever been at Walmart at 2 a.m. and there's only like one little or two little checkout spots available, and you're like, there's like 10 people in line and they don't care. They just like hurry up and pay for your shit. That's the experience with them, those big banks, in my opinion. And then not only that, they're super picky, which means those checkout lines, they don't take cash, they don't take debit, or they don't take, whatever. It's credit only. That's how picky these big banks are. With us, we could offer the better personal experience, better customer service experience, and we know what we're doing. It goes back to what I said earlier. I get a ton of tax ID leads from Bank of America because they don't know how to tell a tax ID from a Social Security. That's like basic first grade math.
Right.
You got to know if it's a 9, it's not a social, it's a tax ID.
Yeah.
Regardless, we work with tax IDs. So, and the big banks, they don't. But I'm not focusing on tax ID. What I'm trying to say is, with us, if you could call me, bro, let's say you weren't here, it's 8:30, that's a good example. It's 8:30 on a Friday night. If you were to call me, for the most part, would I answer?
I don't know if it's me, you might.
Exactly. When I answer, yes or no?
Probably.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. If some guy from Bank of America was doing your loan and you needed to ask him a question or even text him,
You're right.
will they answer?
No, probably not.
Exactly.
It's on a 9 to 5 basis.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to say is, with us, we're more aggressive with everything, and not only that, we're going to give you that family experience because we are all of them. So that's my takeaway.
Okay. And so you also mentioned that it's shifting to a buyer's market, right? We already talked about what it was when it was a seller's market. So for my clients that I have that aren't too sure whether they want to ask for a price reduction, let's say we're looking at a property that's on the market for too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have leverage. Should we ask for a price reduction, or should we ask for more towards closing costs? What's your take?
I honestly would say ask for more closing costs.
Okay, and why is that?
Because you could ask for a price reduction whenever.
Yeah.
Honestly. Even last year, people were asking for price reductions only because people were selling it so much at overlisted price, right? But getting closing costs last year was not the question.
Yeah.
This year, at least we're having the buyers, it's going into a buyer's market that sellers are starting to get anxious, starting to get restless, and they're willing to give more. They're willing to put more to the pot for the buyer. And that's what I'm saying. That's more important in my opinion, because you could always refinance, or you could always, do different things with the price, and your payment isn't going to change too much. If you lower the price by $10K, it really isn't. Your payment's probably going to lower by $50, to be honest.
Okay.
And that's it. Versus getting closing costs, you're saving $10,000 in one day.
Yeah.
That's just one example.
All right. So you heard it here. It's better off getting money towards your closing costs than it is seeking for a price reduction.
Exactly. A1, lemon pepper.
All right, so Jose, you've been very resourceful. I appreciate you answering these questions, man.
Oh, yeah.
If we were to reach you, what's the best way to contact you?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. If you want to reach me, okay, so for a direct loan, my cell phone, 770-630-1801. Once again, that's 770-630-1801. But also, please, please, please follow me. Follow me on IG, MTGACE08. Once again, at MTGACE08. 08 is when I started the industry, 2008. So, and MTG, Mortgage Ace, that's your boy. So, appreciate y'all. Follow me, MTGACE08.
Nice. That's experience for y'all.
Yep.
And again, this is my first video podcast. You know, make sure to engage on this. Y'all are going to encourage me to make more videos like these. This isn't the only one that I plan on making. So just make sure to engage. And I appreciate you guys. If you guys took anything from it, make sure to like the video.
For sure. We out.
Ruby the Realtor.
This is your Mortgage Ace.